All right, so Misty's got some questions. I'm going to turn it over to her, and we're just going to talk about our teams. And go ahead, Misty. I'm going to stop talking.
Okay, so since my broker is Dylan Nonaka, and you saw how he mapped out time, right, in his pie, we have 10 minutes per question here. So, with that in mind, go ahead. Who's going to be first? You going to come first? You are now. So if you can tell me a little bit about your team, when you started, and how many agents and staff is within your structure. Ready, set, go.
I hired my first assistant in 2014, which was way too late. I had already been in the business for 50 years. What was the second question? I'm 87. What was the second question? How long?
You said when you started, how many in your team?
My team is now 12 here, on Oahu. 2 on the Big Island that are not here today because they hate me. A couple on the mainland. What was the other question?
No, that's good. If you can share really quick now, what would you like to expand about your team at this point, knowing what your structure is? What's your next goal to expand your team?
My next goal? I'm trying to work less and less, give them more and more, build their lives up, help them achieve their dreams. And I'm like 50-50 focused on building my team, their business, and then growing my agent sphere, my agent attraction. So I joined EXP 18 months ago at 62 in my rev share. And yeah, I want to get to 1,000.
Awesome, thank you.
Like this lady.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, so just I have Hawaii Lux Homes. Kind of sounds just like Ashley's. No, I'm telling you, this girl, she's Oahu Lux Homes. I'm Hawaii Lux Homes. But when I met her, I just have to say, I met her when I was managing for Fidelity, and I remember the moment I met her when I first moved here, because I even called my parents and said, oh my God, I just met such a firecracker. Like, she's going to be so big in real estate. Like, I've been in real estate all my life. When I meet one, I know. So I knew with her. So, yeah, and then I've just watched her go bigger than I even thought, and I dreamed it was big. So you're amazing. But so anyway, I have Hawaii Lux Homes. She has Oahu Lux Homes, and the funny part is I often get calls for her, and being I love her so much, she gets them. So I have my first assistant when I actually hired an assistant before I ever did my first transaction. When I got in the business, I knew this was a real estate business, and you have to put money when you start a business. So I hired a full-time transaction coordinator and assistant before I even did anything, okay? And then I didn't really plan on having a team, honestly. It just kind of happened. And so I thought I better give it a name. And then after all that happened, now I do have 15 agents on my team, but they're all very young agents, most of them, young in the business. So they're okay, they're growing, but I just, my goal is to get them to segue through my team and go on, be amazing agents and maybe have their own teams, but I am not a team leader that gets mad if one leaves. I am kicking them out the door as fast as I am getting them in, okay? So there's a whole different idea of a team is what I'm doing, okay?
Thank you, Shireen. I love you. I also, in 12 years, didn't know, and by the way, I called Shireen first before I took Oahu Lux because I also knew that she would be very honest with me. She said, girl, take it. Someone else is going to. I want you to. So you can have the leads. You deserve them. You'll take great care of them. I have 5 agents that are on my team. I have one VA assistant. I had 1 physical assistant. And then I have 2 admin for my TC company. I never intended, like Shireen, to join or to grow a team specifically because of the investors I was working with, the listings I was getting. I realized I couldn't sit all the open houses myself. That was actually the reason I had started the team. It's grown into so much more than that now. Now it's a culture. Now it's a vibe. But that's how it started because I couldn't ask like random agents, hey, can you sit the open house? And can you bring a speaker? And put balloons on the signs? And have a digital login and serve champagne. So Oahu Lux was born.
Beautiful.
What was the question again?
Tell us a little bit about your team.
Okay. So our team is We got like 52 agents now. It's ridiculous. That was never the intent. But when it started with a family. So I started at Caldwell here, and it was just my mom and my stepdad. And then I convinced my brother to join because I knew he would be amazing, and he was been more amazing than I could have ever imagined. And it turned into a situation where it just made sense. Business was easier, right? We could share business. We could do things together like Ashley's talking about. We didn't have to be on call 24/7. And what I realized early on, and having that little operation where we shared commissions, right? So like one thing I tell people is like, the biggest limiting factor to me for real estate agents is being greedy about their commissions, right? Like I've never had taken the whole commission for myself from a sale ever since day one. I've always shared, and the more times I give commission away to more people, the next year I get double the amount of gross income. It's crazy, like it's a crazy thing. But I was like, hey, I need to scale this a little bit more, so I bring on another person and give them a piece. Bring on a co-listing agent, give them a piece, and we've just built around this culture of you can get anything you want in life if you help enough people get what they want in life, right? And that's a Brent Gove thing. I hear a lot of people say that, right? But I just love that mentality, and that's really what drives the team now is just world domination, so we can all have what we want, right? Super easy.
That was beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Next, if you can share with me why. Why did you start a team?
Because I'm lazy.
Good answer.
I think it's way easier to work with a group of people than to work alone as an agent. I think being a solo real estate agent is super lonely and difficult and unmotivating. And I did it for a while because I was lazy and I didn't do the hard thing. Like Dylan I should have probably met him 10 years ago. Then I chose to do the hard thing, which is to hire some assistants. And it got easier. Because I did the hard thing, now my life's easier. I don't remember what you asked me, but I'm lazy, and I think everybody should probably at least pair up with one or two people. If you're new, especially pair up with someone newer. Give up your commission to learn from somebody. If you're old, like me, I'm 48. I'm old. Give up some of your commission to get a new agent to help you. Make your life easier.
Thank you. How about you, lovely lady?
I'm young and I'm 57.
You are hot.
Oh, God, you make me feel better. Okay, I feel better now. Okay, so why did I start a team? Oh, thank you. You did too.
For 87.
It's all the positivity.
I usually just say I'm 75 and then, people think I look good. So anyway, stop it, Tony. I can't concentrate.
What's the question again?
So anyway, no, I started a team because I had quite a few young agents that wanted to work with me and I wanted to help them. It really literally came from I wanted to help them if I could. Okay, so that's what happened, and somehow I have 15 agents right now. I have not once gone out and tried to find somebody to come on my team, but when somebody comes to me and says, can I join your team? Usually my answer is yes. So I'm just doing my best to help. I feel like the more I help, like they say, then the more everything all comes around. So I actually love having a team because I love helping these young agents get seasoned and go walk on their own.
We appreciate you.
I already said it. But it evolved from there where after they started doing really well at open houses and more business came and they started getting really excited because they started being successful and making good money, I was like, oh, this feels good. Now I really enjoy helping people. Oh, I should get systems. I should be better at this. And now that's what I mean by it's become so much more.
For me, it's easy. I just want to be a yes man. Right? If I get a call and be asked to do something, I want to tell that client yes. I want to have an amazing customer experience, no matter what I'm doing, no matter how busy I am. And that's what we've created. Like we have like this instant, if you want to see property in Pahoa this afternoon, it's probably going to be a problem because everybody's here today. But normally I can make that happen, right? And anybody on the team can make that happen. We have this crazy group chat with everybody on it. And if you need something, you put it in the chat. And then somebody will respond to you and then we'll make it happen, right? So for our clients, you can provide this one-click immediate experience. And that's gotta be, for me, the goal at the end of the day, right? Is if you create an amazing customer experience for clients, you create raving fans that will continue to refer you to people, will always come back to you, will be loyal. And to me, you can best do that via the team model where you have that shared success mindset where we're just going to provide the best possible service that we possibly can, no matter what it is. And it's super cool when, like, you see in the group chat, hey, who's the best service provider for internet in Anavalia Estates? And then you get an answer like literally within minutes because somebody who lives nearby or knows that neighborhood is going to answer you. And it's like island wide. Like people don't even notice it. We don't even like advertise it, but it's getting to the point where, I'm almost sure that we can provide the most immediate, accurate information. It's like Google for real estate in Hawaii. Right? Like if one of our agents has a client, no matter how new you are in the business, you have the brain power of 50 plus people that are going to answer that question, help you get that question answered like immediately, right? You don't have to call your broker and wait for the next day or 2 days later for them to get back to you. And your broker hasn't been selling for 10 years anyway, so they don't know anything about what's on the ground, right? That's the normal real estate model. And so that's the major reason why I didn't really start it because of that, but it's turned into that. And that's why we're going to continue to grow it. So.
Yes, it is.
Chat is our coconut wire.
Yeah, the Google chat is ridiculous. I mean, that wasn't the intent, was just to put out information, but now it's like literally instant information. Like whatever crazy thing you can ask, you can put it in there. And I need a handyman in Middle Lee, and like somebody will respond and get you a number of somebody that can go down there and do it this afternoon. It's crazy. So
you can hold the mic. You'll start off the next question. Okay. Just by a show of hands, though, how many agents in here are independent and not with a team? Anybody? Okay, so we all know who to get, yeah? Thank you for sharing. Okay, next question. What are some considerations to evaluate before you start a team?
I think the first thing is you got to look in the mirror and just decide whether or not you have that selfless mindset, right? Because it's not built for everybody, right? Leadership is not for everybody. And that's not a bad thing. Like, I don't look down on people. Like, that's just, it's just a different mindset and a different way to go about doing business. So for me, if you're not externally focused every single day and figuring out how to help people, it's going to be hard to grow a big up. And that's not just real estate, it's anything, right? Any great leader that you've had in life, whether it be a coach, a manager, a leader in the military, whatever it is, like you can tell the difference between somebody who really cares about you and somebody who's there because of the power and the authority. And I don't know if you've been to my office, but I have a thing in my office that has boss and leader, right? The boss is sitting on a chair on a pedestal while the people pull him, right? The leader is in the front helping pull the load, right? And that's kind of the way you gotta have that mentality and make a conscious decision, right? It's not a natural thing. I think we are selfish beings, right? Human beings are selfish beings. You got to make a conscious decision, a deliberate decision to want to be in a leadership position and help other people grow. So that's the first thing. If you can't come to terms with that, then maybe don't do a team.
What was the question again? I was enamored.
What are some considerations to evaluate before you start a team?
If you want to be held accountable, a lot of people are going to be leaning on you. They're gonna need your guidance, and you want to be specific with: are you open to inviting anyone? Are you going to provide training and mentorship? And constantly sharpen your skills. Read books, listen to podcasts, get involved, and ask questions with other leaders so that you can be the best. And I would say I never wanted to be a team leader or a leader, and my other half said to me, sometimes those are the best ones. And I found like, okay, that's true, so I should probably get good at it. And so so now every weekend I try to carve out some time to read or do something so that I can provide some type of value or bettering myself so I can be of an inspiration.
You already are.
I really don't have an answer for this one. Honestly, I'm not going to talk.
You can do whatever you want.
I don't want to be boring. I'm going to like repeat what some of them said. So Tony will probably have something new and fresh. So here.
I'll take a very different approach and say that you want to structure your team, if you're going to lead it, to fit your personality. Dylan is probably a very different person than I am. I will get on the floor and roll with him a bit if he wants to do some train, but he will beat me because I do not have the tenacity or the drive that he has. You know, I started my team because I was lazy. I suspect he started his team because he had too much energy. And therefore, our two teams have very different approaches. We do have a nice group text, but ours is mostly like, look at my flowers that my husband gave me or something. And I say no a ton. You want to say yes to everybody, and I'm like, I want to say no to everything. Can you see this property today instead of on Sunday when I'm open? No. So it just has to be according to your personality and your fit, and then you'll attract people like you. And Troy is here, right in the center, big handsome guy. He's currently single for a few more minutes. And we were laughing because we were like, Dylan is the opposite of us. But I like him a lot. I already love his style and everything. It just wouldn't work for me. And he would hate my team. And he would be like, these are the laziest SOBs. But we did sell 160 properties last year. We just do it in a different way. And I think that that's okay. I think that you can have your own style, and Shireen's style is different, and Ashley's different. And so I don't think, whatever you see today, if you're like, I'd like to be on a team someday or start one or just be part of one, this doesn't really mean that this is all that's out there for you. So you can go, my personality, I'm more like this, and you can just find people like you and group together, and if it works, great, and if not, separate. But for me, here's how I started. Here's how I started my team is my broker at the time told me, write down everything you hate to do, because he could tell that I was kind of lazy. And so I wrote down like 90% of what I did, and I look at all those things and I thought, who in my life could do that for me? And I found two young people who were in their mid-20s or late 20s, and I thought, I bet I could pay them almost nothing to do all this crap. And the two of them last year each made over $300,000 because they're still with me to this day. They've been with me for 8 years each. One of them is now my broker in charge. Technically, I work for him. So I think do whatever the heck you want with your team. Do what works for you. What works for Tiara doesn't work for me. It's great. That's what's beautiful about eXp Realty, honestly, is you can do whatever the heck you want.
You can hold on to that, sir. So knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently? You're still on the mic. Knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently?
I would have joined eXp about 8 years ago. I was at REMAX, and then I was at Elite Pacific. And seriously. And when I found out about eXp Realty, the first time I saw it, I was like, what the heck is that? I'm at REMAX. What is this garbage? That's what I thought. I'm like, I'm a REMAX agent. And now I look back and I'm so stupid. What an arrogant punk. Like, I should have looked into it, and I should have joined it 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Whenever it started, I should have joined it, and it's already changed my life. My revenue share this month, I just showed Troy, I can show you my screenshot. This month was the first time my rev share was over $10,000. And I've been with the company 18 months. Right? So I get paid to be, people sometimes are like, oh, what's the cap at eXp? I go, negative 100,000. That's my cap, is negative 100,000.
What was the question?
Knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently back then?
I would have been more like Dylan. I actually wish I was more like Dylan. I wish I could talk that fast. I could listen that fast. I wish I could do everything that fast. But anyway, I do. I wish I put more systems in place. I mean, what I'm doing now, sometimes I'm scrambling to put more systems in place all the time. There's a fly up here. I don't have a problem. And thankfully, Dylan is sharing his stuff. And so I'm constantly stealing stuff from him for my team because he has so many great systems in place. So if I were to do this again, I would have more systems in place early on so that I wasn't being reactive and I was being more proactive. Yeah.
But it's working.
Oh, it's working.
It still works.
I think real quick there should be maybe a brief differential between teams, because you have teams that are actually underneath a team leader, and then you have your downline or your agent attraction teams. So for my agent attraction, I don't know those numbers. I probably should. But for my team, what I would have done differently is I would have, to Shireen's point, more systems. because they're great. I'm going to pick Dylan's brain later because systems are key to everything, to automating, to having freedoms. And I would have gotten a mentor. I wish I had found somebody I really looked up to, and I wish I asked them questions before I had started. And from the other definition of team, which is your downline, I wish I started it sooner. I was like, I'll just do that later. Like, I'm just focusing on building up Oahu Lux homes, and I could have done them simultaneously, and I didn't. And now 3 years, I'm starting to, and I'm already seeking, or I'm receiving the rewards, but that was 2 years lost that I could have had $10,000, $50,000 a month.
I want to talk about systems, which you guys already talked about it. I think it's, no, I would do more early on. So, yeah.
No sleeping, no eating.
More systems. You always need more systems. Yes. I probably would have got my wife to quit working earlier if I'd have been smarter, because she has been, as ADD as I am, right? You still need to implement the ideas and the energy, and you need people that will do that. And really, she stopped working like a year ago, and our business went crazy because she helped me as an educator implement systems. And I didn't know, I was kind of looking for that person. I didn't know, like, I went to bed with her every night, right? So sometimes you never know. And that's a funny thing about like the team aspect is some of the most key people on my team are the least likely people that you would think from a stereotype standpoint would be that person, right? Like I have key people on my team that were brand new agents, had no experience, weren't from here, whatever, and that just like came in and said, I'll do whatever you need me to do. I want to be successful. I'll work for you for free if you help me learn, and have turned into just amazing leaders in a very short amount of time that are key. And so I think just being open-minded and looking for the key people that can be the person, like, we're too self-limiting. We're like, well, that person doesn't have the right education or the right experience, or they haven't been doing the business long enough. We disqualify people based on BS, right? When that key leader that you have that could help you just explode your business could be right next to you and you don't know it. So that was definitely a thing for me. I stumbled into it. It wasn't deliberate, but I would have been, if I could talk to myself 3 or 4 years ago. And again, this is not like a long-term thing, right, guys? Like, I don't know, all of us haven't been doing this for very long, right? It's not like we've been doing this for 20 years. Like, I came to EXP like 3 years and 4 months ago with nobody, with Misty and my brother, and it's like doubled every single year. And so don't feel like have that self-limiting factor, like, I don't have enough experience, I'm too young, I'm a female, whatever the stupid stuff you tell yourself is. I would have prepared for this earlier, because I was like that too, right? I should get my broker's license first. I should get more deals closed. Had all these limiting mindsets where, now it's like, okay, we're here, and I got to think about what systems do we need to get to 100 agents, 200 agents, right? Because everybody's coming sooner or later, and so I have to be ready for them, right? So how do we expand to California? How do we expand to all the other islands? Like, that's got to be the mindset on systems, and at least have some perspective. But definitely, I would have been more open to letting the right people find me earlier on, because that's really what's made the difference. It's not me, it's the people that have been attracted and then have kicked it up a notch. So
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. If you can, Dylan, share with us a negative experience in real estate that only made you bigger, better, and stronger.
This is funny. This is what's hard for me. I'm a sociopath, right? So when bad shit happens to me, I like immediately forget about it. Like, it's hard for, it's like I have to like really think hard about Tim Grover, Winning Relentless, book recommendation. Write that down. Tim Grover. He says the greatest winners, the greatest champions have the shortest memories, right? Because when you miss the shot, if you let that screw up the rest of your game, you're never going to be a high-scoring player in basketball, right? When you win the championship, you got to forget about it the next day and start working for the next championship the next day, right? So if I have a superpower, it's that, like, I have no memory. I think, I don't know. I mean, I think about all the bad stuff, like Tony talked about, losing a deal, a buyer that you've shown property to for months, going to break the contract with somebody else. I literally just write them off immediately and move on. If there's anything you can kind of think about mindset wise, you have to have a short memory, because again, nobody has the ability to bum me out. It just doesn't happen. I don't let it happen. I do not allow it. So there's my answer.
That's a hard one because I think anybody who gets thick skin in this industry does that. So I'm trying to think, like, what's given me PTSD? Well, I'd say when I was new and working with the investors at that time, a decade ago, they were the largest residential ones on the island. And I was young and I had never gone to college to learn how to write emails. And I did not have a mentor in my brokerage. So I would just forward an email with no email title. And this guy was so, luckily, it made me so much stronger. It made me so much better of an agent. But he would be like, if you send me one more email without a title and without a body, you're fired. And he was just so brutal. And he would call me Christmas Eve at 11 p.m. And he'd be like, you better do this. And I remember, like, now to this day, fast forward, I have in my transaction management company scripts how to title your emails and how I want to receive emails. I know. I have a system. But that was really hard. He was super brutal. He tried to always use my commissions to negotiate for his own net and then promised me the listing on the back end. There was a lot of lessons learned there. And it was an emotional high and low. And that investor, I had to go into surgery for something. And I was going in on the carriage. And I was still typing on my laptop because I had not hired admin yet. And I didn't have systems and an assistant and TC at the time. Get all of those. And I was literally being wheeled in. And they're like, okay, you're going under. And I was like, I've got to finish this. Like, he's not going to be happy. And then it was a pretty big surgery for a pretty big ailment. And I come out and my first words were like, did they get it? And he would call me after and he'd be like, I don't care what the reason is. I'm not losing this deal because of your personal problems. And he was an asshole. Yes, he was. But you know what I learned from that was, one, not to work with him, but two, also, that's something I now uphold myself in my business is I don't let my personal life interfere with my business. I do try to separate them because as much as you're working with a friend, I don't want to bring my daughter there, not because she's not amazing. She'll probably do a better job selling it than me, but because I want them to feel like they're hiring a professional. So it kind of shaped how I carry myself, but it was tough. It was tough.
Okay, again, I am exactly like Dylan in this one way. And my family even tells me, oh my gosh, they screwed you so bad. Don't talk. My daughter will say, that person is evil to you, Mom. Do not talk to them. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I cannot remember. In fact, I'll tell all of you right now, if you want to offend me, you need to say, I am offending you right now. And this is what I have to say, because otherwise I'd be like, wow, they're just having a bad day. Too bad. You know, I mean, I literally do not remember anything bad. I just don't. No, I just don't. It's never in my mind. There are not negative thoughts. They're gone. I mean, I just get rid of them. If something really bad happens to me, I just move the heck on. So I can't even tell you. I'm sure I've had terrible lessons, but Tony will be much better at me remembering those things. Let's go to Tony the Downer, the lazy man. Okay.
Take it away.
About 2 or 3 years ago, my brokerage, Elite Pacific, got bought out by Corcoran. And I was really mad because I really liked my brokerage. And they were going to give us worse splits because there was a franchise fee or whatever. And so I was really mad and I started interviewing every brokerage. And the last one I interviewed last people I spoke to was Gene Frederick at EXP. So that was a super negative season because I was like, what am I going to do? Like Compass offered me a ton of money and Coldwell offered me a ton of money. But man, my life completely changed. When I came to EXP, my life exploded. Like I had 4 team agents at the time. Now I have 12. And I could have 20 if I wanted to. Couple more over there. My 2 new. Those 2 guys are rock star agents. That little lady there, the little Filipino lady there, is the hardest working agent you will ever meet. Okay, Ryan. While we've been sitting here, Ryan's been crushing offers and emails like he will not stop. He's relentless, like a dog with a bone. Those are the types of people you want to hire. Like just relentless. They just want the deal no matter what. But man, the best thing that happened to me was my brokerage basically went out of business. Worst thing, best thing. Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, it's beautiful how we all embrace everything, right? You take everything in and you just embrace it. And it's not only looking at the problems, but, we want to know solutions versus problems. So if you can last share with us, you've mentored so many of us. Who is your number one mentor?
Wow. I still go back to the guy that I met in high school, who now lives in Montana, and I named my kids after his. I named my dog after his. But I will say that at about 20 years old, I found an image of what I wanted my life to look like, and I've aimed for it ever since.
This is an easy one for me. Mine's my dad, who's still alive, you guys. Don't get weird. And he's so happy that I am doing this, and I fought it just like a little kid throwing a fit. I'm not selling houses because he told me since I was so little I would be so great at it, and so of course then I didn't want to do it, and so I did everything but that, and finally succumbed. I'm glad he was still alive to see that happen. But no, he's 80, but he's in great shape, and my mom is too, and they're just amazing, and they're so excited. And do you guys know Dorinda Thatcher? Okay, so my mom and dad are in Denver, Colorado right now on vacation, and they just ran into her. And they just sent me her business card and said, she says she went on a Wahine fishing trip with you years ago. And I said, I did. So anyway, isn't that funny? Then my dad, I just love him. He's always like tapping me and giving me encouragement. So he was an amazing realtor. He would sell 60 homes a year, all by himself, no assistants except me. And, but I was never paid. So I was an assistant. I was just like child, isn't that a slave? Yeah, a slave, yeah. There's laws about that. But he's still my mentor.
Well, because I didn't have any when I first started, I'm hell-bent on having them now. So honestly, Shireen is one of my mentors when it comes to how to treat agents and how to do business and how to stay. I was always a positive, happy person, but she taught me how to elevate my business with that. And she didn't do that purposefully. It's just surrounding yourself with people that you want, and you like and trust. I have a commercial mentor to help me with the hard questions. Again, I'll give him everything. Just give me a nugget. Give me the seed, I'll water it. And I'd say on a personal side, my other half, he's a great mentor for me when it comes to leadership. He watches all the YouTubes and reads all the books, and then I say, teach me. Kidding.
All right, I got a crazy Dylan answer for you. You guys ready for this? I was blessed also to have a mom that was in real estate for years. So if we're talking about real estate mentor, definitely her. And then she married an amazing broker later on in life. And he was somebody that I learned from, got to sit next to every day when I was a young agent and just hear him on the phone and soak all that stuff in by osmosis. But I'm a big believer that you should have hundreds of mentors, right? And the world that we live in today, we're so fortunate. Like YouTube is one of my main mentors, right? Audible, one of my main mentors. Like you have access to amazing information, and I just am addicted to constantly consuming that stuff because anybody in the world, they don't even have to know you, right? You can just log on, listen to the stuff that they say, read their content. There's people like Tony who I've been following and watching that never knew, right? And you can get information from people. So your mentor should be everybody, right? I mean, I look around, there's people, and they don't have to necessarily be somebody who's above you per se, right? I mean, there's something to admire and learn from everybody in our universe. And so that's just kind of what I try and do every day is learn from other people. Great book. Yeah, huge, right? You know what's funny is there's a lot of top agents. You invite them to something like this, and like, I don't need to come to that. I mean, I sell 20 million a year. It's like, well, I'm gonna do 40, so you should probably come and figure out how to do that, right? Like, I mean, if you're good, you're good, right? But it's like I always looked around and was like, how, I don't want to stop. I want to know how to, going back to world domination, right? It's like why just be successful in your own little bubble when the world is big. You can make it as big as you possibly want. There's people who will tell you how to do it that have already done it. And so just access that information. I mean, there's so many people in this room. I mean, Chris and Shireen. I mean, there's so many people that I look up to, and I may not talk to them on a daily basis, right? But I'm seeing what they're doing. I soak in the actions that they take. I learn by their example. And then when I need to get on the phone and call them and I need a kick in the ass, I call them and they give me the kick in the ass, right? So, and I love playing that role for the team too. You know, the team always knows, like, call me with a sad story and I'll be the first one to tell you, get the hell over it and move on, right? Get the next deal. Like, stop worrying about it and crying about it and wallowing in your sorrows, because it's over, it's done. There's nothing you can do about it, right? So yeah, I think just the world is your mentor, right? Just choose who you want to reach out to.
Awesome.
All right.
So on the note of level up, really quick, one thing that you're going to do this year to level up.
Shoots this year.
That wasn't on our question list. So
I wasn't
throwing
prepared.
it
I
at
wasn't
them.
prepared.
You got 1 minute left. Just one thing.
I tell you what we're working on right now. We're working on a very systematic listing process. It's something that we haven't had, but we're going to have a process where if a listing lead comes in, an automated series of emails goes out that starts selling them on the team and why they should list with us. The goal is that when we get to the listing appointment, no matter how many agents have been on that listing appointment, we've already won. We've made everybody look so bad before we get there that it doesn't matter what kind of lies they tell them about the price you can get, the commission they're going to give them. It's not going to matter because we already beat them, right? Preemptive strike, right? We're going to preemptive strike all listing leads because, again, we have so much talent on our team, right? We have stagers. The stuff I learned from Tiare today, Mike's going to get a lot more business from us because that shit's going to start happening, right? People are going to see that, like, because again, the days of easy are coming to an end, guys. The days of any idiot with a real estate license putting in a property on MLS and it's selling are going to come to an end. It hasn't been that way for a long time. It's only going to be a short window. And the greatest exodus of realtors from the industry is coming in the next 2 years, right? So we got to be in a position to beat everybody, and that's what we're focused on right now. Is hyper focused on that.
I have quite a few things that I'm doing this year different than before, but if I had to pick one, I started and I'm continuing to do meetups. So every month I'm doing a meetup for realtors masterminding any brokerage just to get together and learn from one another. The only requirement is to be abundant and bring information. And then I'm doing one meetup a month right now for EXP specifically, where I say, if you want to learn and I want to teach you about EXP, then come to this one. It's very targeted. But the other one, we don't talk about it. We try not to.
So this is kind of embarrassing. Actually, I want to start out and tell you guys, I think I probably failed more than anybody in this room. I have failed and failed and failed because I constantly get back up, and I honestly believe the road to success is a lot of failures. So I was just going to say, don't beat yourself up. There's some stuff that I got from this that I know. Right now I'm excited, and there's like 4 things I want to go home and start doing. But a year from now, one of them will be in place. Okay? So I know that because I failed so many times. So, but one thing more every single year gets you pretty good, you know? So the one thing that I took today I'm just gonna tell you what I took today that really resonated with me. It was Tony. And it was you talking about your hour in the morning when you don't answer anybody's email. You don't start that mess coming in. You don't open the door to the avalanche by answering anybody. And
Dylan's been awake for 3 hours.
But I'm going to take that and that's in my life, okay? And a year from now, it's still going to be in my life. And I know that. I know I can take one thing and I can absolutely do that starting tomorrow, and that's that. So anyway, thank you, Tony, for changing my life today.
I think I'm done. I'm spent. I bet you're a Jocko Willink guy.
Love it. Yes.
Yeah.
You're gonna read his book. There you go.
Yeah, I listen to his podcast. Yeah, I will say one thing I'm trying to do this year is work less and just spend more time with people, clients and agents. Just spend time with them, and let my team have more money and more work so they can thrive. Because at this point I'm old. In case I didn't tell you, at this point in my life, time is more valuable than money. When I was 20, it was kind of the opposite. After you've sold, $1 billion in real estate, which I have, it's not about the money for me. Now it's about my time with my kids. I have 4 kids, and my agents growing. And I wish that upon all of you, that you'll stay in the business for 20 years, succeed, and get to the point where it's not about the money.
Beautiful. Thank you all for sharing. We wish you much abundance in all you do. Thank you.